What's up, guys? Welcome to the Quarantine. I'm your host, Wolf, and today I'm going to take a look at Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain. Developed by Kojima Productions, published by Konami. Available for PlayStation 4, PS3, Xbone, Xbox 360, and Windows-based PCs. Phantom Pain is an open-world action-adventure stealth game similar to the previous games in the series. How this one stands out is the open-world aspect. Put simply, if you've played Peace Walker on the PSP, the gameplay is very similar, but of course up to date graphics and control schemes, of course, for the current systems. Now, at the time of this review, I have about 68 hours logged into the game, and Metal Gear Online has not been released yet, so for obvious reasons, I will not be covering anything on MGO. This review is not going to contain any spoilers, and I'm actually doing this unscripted as well, trying a new thing. Now, if you've played the original Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zero that came out a little while back, the paid demo, then you'll know exactly where you're going to, like, what happens. And that takes place before Phantom Pain, so you start out in a hospital bed. You wind up undergoing this weird tutorial type thing that introduces some familiar characters from several of the games. Chronologically, if I understand correctly, this is the fourth or fifth game in the chronological order. I'm not a huge fan of the Metal Gear series. I really like them, but I'm not a huge nerd over them. I have a few friends that are, and I'm pretty sure they said it's the fifth game, I think. So the game starts you off, and you're after the tutorial area, and you get some what the fuck is going on moments, traditional of Kojima. Then you start playing as Big Boss, and we all know and love Big Boss. And the way the game plays is actually really, really neat in comparison to all of the other Metal Gears. As stated, after a certain point, the game plays very much like Peace Walker, where you wind up having an oil rig out in the middle of an undisclosed, location in the ocean, and you embark on missions. You take a helicopter to certain areas of the world, undergo missions. You have, kill this guy or steal these tanks or infiltrate and find this information. Kind of generic missions. And you have what's called the Fulton recovery device, which you basically strap a balloon onto somebody's back, and they get yanked out, and they get thrown in prison, and you beat the shit out of them until they agree to join you in the traditional Big Boss way. Later on, you can do this with gun emplacements and mechs and walkers and vehicles and stuff like that, but at first you can only do it to personnel. Now, the gameplay of Peace Walker is outstanding, to say the least. The open world freeformness of I don't even know if that's a word, but the open world freeform of the game is incredible. It's everything that a Metal Gear should be. You are given an objective, and alright, we need you to rescue this guy. It is up to you to figure out how you're going to go about doing that. If you want to go guns a-blazing and just lay waste to everything there, go for it. More power to you. Or if you want the more rewarding experience of sneaking in, trying to get through undetected, get your target, get out, and airlift them out of there before anybody notices what's going on, then that's your option as well. The way it starts off is you get your mission, and it gives you the map, and it tells you where do you want to be dropped at. So you'll put in, and depending on anti-air radar installations, you can destroy those, and it unlocks more areas, because those like block off whole sections of the map that you can airdrop in. And so you say, I want to go here. They'll drop you in. You select your gear and whoever your partner is, which at first is a horse, and then you get a dog, and then that's the end of that. You get more, but I'm not going to spoil any of them. And then you drop into the mission, and it's up to you how you go about everything. One of the only big complaint that I have with the game is Snake seems to be mildly retarded when it comes to walking around. Most of the time, works perfectly fine. I would prefer, and I know a lot of people bitch about this, but I would prefer a dedicated cover button. Like, let me push something to press up against a wall and push it to get off of the wall. Because there are times when you get pressed up against the wall, you're facing one direction, you want to change directions, but Snake pops off of the wall, and then now he's discovered by a guy that's on top of a building. It gets really annoying. Now, I digress. What the biggest complaint that I have, honestly, with the game is the terrain. Most of the open worldness is, do you want to go down this way or do you want to go down this way? Um, Most of the time, that's not that big of a deal. It's still very freeform, and you get to go about the missions however you want. But a lot of the terrain is off limits, really high mountains, stuff like that. But that I'm fine with. My problem is sometimes you'll have these slight inclines or these little rocks or stuff that Snake should be able to walk right over, no problem, and a lot of the time does. Not Snake, Big Boss. Either way, you get it. Well, technically he is Snake, but you get the idea. Normally you should be able to walk through it, and a lot of the time you do, but occasionally Snake will take a step on and then slide down it as though it was too steep of incline. And that happens way, way, way more than it should. On top of that, D-Horse, I think, is dumber than Roach from Witcher 3. He is the dumbest horse I have ever had the displeasure to ride. I used him until I got the dog and never, ever touched D-Horse again. Other than the previously mentioned, the game plays perfectly fine. The systems in the game work really well. I don't really know what else to say about the system. It plays like an open world Metal Gear Solid game. If you've ever played any of the Metal Gear games, Metal Gear Solid, any of them, it plays almost identical, except for now it's open world and you go about the missions how you want. The game does have some option, I don't even remember what it's called, reflexive mode, I think, which I recommend turning off just to get a little bit more enjoyment, I guess, out of the game, where if you get caught, everything slows down so you have time to go and aim at somebody and you kill them or do whatever, put them to sleep, however you want to do it. I honestly recommend turning that off and go man mode. For me, it made the game a lot more fun, but your mileage may vary, I suppose. Now, on to the graphics of the game. I can't say a single bad thing about the graphics in Metal Gear Solid Phantom Pain. I mean, aside from sometimes you get a low resolution texture on terrain, other than that, the visuals are outstanding. It starts raining. Snake actually starts dripping water. He's actually wet. He'll leave footprints behind. The game runs amazingly. I mean, I don't have that great of a computer. I think I'm running an old Sapphire 6950 2 gig with an 3.2 gigahertz i5, and that's all I'm running. And I ran the game on I think there were one or two settings that I didn't have on max, and I of course took motion blur off. And I ran the game at a very smooth, very consistent frame rate, almost non-stop. The only time I would ever see a dip in any frame rate would be if I was like watching a stream and playing at the same time, or not even watching a stream. If I had my stream playing and streaming at the same time, like so I can see how much the delay is, that would be the only time I would see any impact on frame rate. Other than that, the graphics are great. The game runs one of the best console ports that I have ever played on PC in the last several years. Runs incredibly well. The graphics themselves, the visuals, really, really good. I honestly can't say a single bad thing about them. Uh, everything looks fantastic. I don't know what else to say. They just look outstanding. I have not a single complaint about it. And let's go, I guess, onto the controls. The controls, I played with a peasant pad. Mainly because, I don't know, it just felt better. I probably should play a little bit more on a keyboard and mouse, because when MGO comes out online, I'll be at a massive disadvantage playing with the controller. But on a controller, everything feels just fine. I mean, I never once really had any problems with any of the controls at all, really. Um, The only downfall that I can say, actually, about the controls is you can't remap any buttons. And that was kind of annoying. It wasn't necessary, but there was one button. I don't remember which one it was. It's been about 3 or 4 days since I've played, and I've gotten used to the controls. But when I first played, there were a couple buttons that I would have liked to have switched around, and I kept pushing the wrong button, and it got really annoying. But then I got used to it, and it wasn't a problem anymore. So the option to be able to rebind controls on a controller would have been outstanding. But other than that, I mean, the controls work really well. If you have ever played a Metal Gear game on a console, it honestly plays exactly the same. I mean, I don't know what else to say. The even turning the was it reflexive mode off, I still didn't have too many problems with playing with controller and having less accuracy with shooting, because when somebody detects you, you have about a second anyways to be able to react and go and throw them to the ground or whatever. So honestly, playing with story mode with controller, there's no problem whatsoever. And again, I can't really compliment. I can't really say anything about with keyboard and mouse. I didn't play with it, so sorry. And sound, I mean, sound is sound. As everybody that is subscribed to me knows, unless it's something over the top or anything, I mean, as long as it works, the sound works. I mean, I don't really put a lot of merit into it. However, one point of note that I do like about this game is there are collectible cassette tapes hidden all over the map, all over the maps. I guess I'll say, without spoiling anything, there are multiple maps, but I'm not going to spoil anything more than that. There are cassette tapes scattered all over the place. So while you're sneaking through a building, you might hear, like, I don't know, Bon Jovi, not Bon Jovi, ew. I can't think of any singers all of a sudden. Fucking Final Countdown. There we go. You'll hear Final Countdown playing in, like, the next room over with a guard just sitting at a table or something. If you steal that cassette, you will actually be able to play Final Countdown in your, I guess it's called an iDroid, in your iDroid, and it can play during missions and stuff. So it's pretty cool. So you can collect different licensed songs, and then there's certain Metal Gear songs that you can listen to, plus cassette tapes that there's, God, fucking hundreds of them that explain different story elements. And anytime you get a new story-driven characters, then they interrogate them, and then you can listen to all the interrogations and this, that, and the other. And there's so many cassette tapes, so it's really, really good. But the actual audio itself, I mean, doesn't really stand out. It works. Like I said, I don't put a whole lot of merit into the normal audio, so sue me. And lastly, the story. And again, this isn't going to have any spoilers or anything, but holy shit. When I'm explaining, the other day I was actually at the comic book store playing some games with some friends, and I was talking to one of my friends about Metal Gear, and me and him had already played it, and a random guy walked by and he goes, "Oh, you talking about Phantom Pain?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, well, how is it?" And I was like, "Well, the gameplay is outstanding. The story is a Kojima story." And he immediately knew what I was trying to say, because the gameplay, as I mentioned earlier, stellar. I can't think of a thing wrong with it. The game is outstanding. However, the story is going to make you sit there and stare at the screen and go, I have no fucking idea what's going on. I had to get with a buddy of mine. Like, I've played Metal Gear Solid 2, Snake Eater. Haven't played the fourth one. Didn't play Metal Gear Rising. I've played the vast majority of, I think, Peace Walker. And hell, I almost cried like a bitch at the end of Metal Gear Solid 3. And I played through the... Why can't I remember the name? The one that came before this, Ground Zero. I played Ground Zero. So, and I've played through them once or twice. And so, but I'm not real big, and I had to get a friend of mine to explain some of this shit. Is half of it didn't make sense. You get to see some familiar characters from, I think, 3 and Metal Gear Solid. So that's pretty cool. And but the story is just off the wall, and apparently, according to a friend of mine, is incomplete, and yada yada yada. I don't know about all that, but the story is entertaining enough. But you don't play a Metal Gear Solid game for the story, if that makes sense. You play it for the gameplay and the sneaking, and to see Quiet's breasts. That's why you play Metal Gear Solid. In closing, do I recommend Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain? Honestly, yes. If you like the Metal Gear world, you're gonna love it. I mean, it fits right, shoehorns right in with the rest of the world. If you like action games, go for it. If you like stealth games, go for it. If you like open world, and when I mean open world, it's not like, Fallout or a Bethesda game level of open world, but it is, especially in a Metal Gear standards, it is a pretty open world. If you like those types of games, go for it. The game is outstanding. Other than where I was talking about you traversing rocky terrain and you sliding all over the fucking place, and that alone made me fail several missions several times. Other than that, honestly, I cannot think of a negative thing to say about Metal Gear Solid: The Phantom Pain. Pick it up; it is well worth the money. Recently, I've been super busy and I haven't had a whole lot of time to dedicate to video games, and I was able to toss in 68 hours into Metal Gear Solid: The Phantom Pain, and I'm definitely going to be playing more. So there's that. And then the online is also outstanding for what there is. Well, I don't want to say outstanding. It's really fun, but limited. So I'm not going to spoil all that because I guess that could be considered spoilers. But the online is fun. It's entertaining. The new Mother Base editions are really good. Just pick up the game. It's outstanding. So that's Metal Gear Solid: Phantom Pain. I hope you guys like the new format. I'm not 100% sure how I feel about it. I kind of like it. It's way easier on me. I don't have to sit there and write a script. Nothing. I just talk about the game. Kind of like how I do with my board game reviews. So let me know in the comments if you think this sucks or if you like it. I mean, I'm probably gonna say I don't really care and do it anyways because fuck it. But anyways, I'm gonna try to get out more videos for you guys, more video game videos for the people who subscribe for those. I have another video or board game review I'm gonna get tossed out later. I'm also playing Mad Max Fury Road, I think is what it's called. I think. I don't know. Just Mad Max. I have that I'm playing through. I might get a review out for that. I am still also playing through Dungeon Travelers 2. It's an 80 plus hour game, and again, I haven't had a whole lot of time to dedicate to video. So, I'll get those videos out when I can. Give me a like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time in the quarantine.